What's happening, vinyl community? Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you guys are when you're watching this. Well, didn't expect to be doing another collection update so soon, but here I am again. Got a big stack of heat to show you guys. Spans all different genres and some interesting stories to go along with it. So, without further ado, let's get started. This first one I've actually had for a little bit, and I had intended to actually put it in my collection update video before my trip to Charlotte, but it's completely slipped my mind, so better late than never. Um, this album is one that I'd owned on CD, but I never owned on vinyl before. And surprisingly, OGs are pretty expensive. Um, but found one at the right price, and I'm glad to have it. This is a Thievery Corporation, the richest man in Babylon. It's a 3 LP set. Um, these guys are very much all over the place. Some of it's reggae, there's some Eastern influences, that kind of thing. But great album. I highly recommend you. I mean, it's available on YouTube to stream. I think it's been reissued on vinyl. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But great album. I actually found this by way of a seller in New York through Discogs. He had it listed at a certain price. Did a little bit of haggling. He talked him down a little bit. Everything seemed fine. And then I checked the tracking about 3 days later, and somehow this album ended up from instead of coming to Colorado where it was supposed to come, ended up going all the way to Puerto Rico. It circled for like 3 days. They finally caught it, sent it back, and thankfully it arrived without any damage. Like I said, original pressing, still in the shrink. Sounds absolutely amazing, and I'm happy to have it. These are not in any order, by the way. The next one is actually one that I picked up post record store day. Um, Sadly, because of if you watch my previous video from Chris Tunes from the Man Cave, I had originally intended to be in Charlotte for record store day, and due to a screw up on my end, I actually booked the trip a week early, so I wasn't able to attend. But and some other things came up and that sort of thing. So I took my chances and managed to score a few of them online. Just paid normal price, not didn't overpay or anything. And then a couple of them I actually, or at least one of them I actually found post record store day at my local shop about an hour from me. So I actually went in to pick up an album that I'd already paid for while I was in Charlotte, and saw this on the wall. And me being a fan of this band, I knew I had to have it, and it was the only copy that they had. This is the Garbage Witness to Your Love. It's the RSD record store day 12-inch on red vinyl. It's got Witness to Your Love. It's also got a few other songs. Then there's a cover of Cities and Dust by Susie and the Banshees. Interesting cover. Shirley's voice is definitely somebody who I think can pull off a song like this, but it's definitely compared to the original, it's not what I'm used to. But I really enjoyed it, and $27. Hey, I can deal with that. But all around great. Happy to have it, and was really shocked that this was on the wall. There weren't. I think there was only like 4,000 of these pressed. So it's been one of the ones that's been more difficult to find. Not exactly desirable, but more difficult to find. So I was happy to find this out in the wild. This next one actually came by way of just listening to YouTube and things that were recommended to me, and stumbled on this and gave it a listen and really enjoyed it. It's more electronic. This is Visions by Demir. It was released last year. Pretty limited run. He's a fairly new artist to the music scene in general, but kind of just reminds me of like late '90s, early 2000s electronic music. All in all, really good stuff. I mean, you wouldn't think that based on this album cover that this would be an electronic album, but it is, and surprisingly, it's really good. And this came in by way of a Discog seller in Hawaii, and again, happy to have it. This next one had kind of an interesting story as well. So while I was in Charlotte, I actually found a 2006 European reissue of this album. I would have been happy with that, but something in me decided to go for an original. And I was able to find one at the right price, and it arrived the day actually I came back home on from my trip. This is Nas Illmatic. It's an original European press, super clean. I mean, it's got maybe just a little bit of edge wear here at the very top. That's about it. I mean, it plays beautifully. Um, it's got. If anybody knows, I don't know. I don't know if this will pick this up or not. It's got a Columbia trademark quality sticker on it, but it's got it's in Mandarin characters. I've reached out to a few collectors, and no one really seems to know about this. I imagine it's probably just an import sticker or something like that. But if anybody by chance knows, please chime in below. I'd love to hear what this is. But, you know, iconic album. It's definitely on my list of must-haves for, hip hop and music in general. So many amazing samples that were used on this album. So a little bit of a minor comment here. I generally prefer the late '80s to mid '90s hip hop before it got into all like the, pardon the language, bitches partying shit like that. I like stuff with stories, and albums like Illmatic definitely tell a story. It's, how do I put this? It's basically folk music from the streets, and that's what I love about this era of hip hop is that it's telling stories. You're being introduced to different aspects of things in the culture. So for me, this is the era that if somebody is not familiar with hip hop, that's what they need to concentrate on. Don't go for the new stuff. The new stuff is garbage. I mean, it's just one person's opinion, and opinions are like assholes. But not to go off on a rant, but I do feel like a lot of new hip hop is garbage. But again, absolutely iconic album, must have, and I'm very happy to have an OG. This one actually came in by way of Noble Records, and Dylan has been doing a run of different albums with the Noble exclusive, and I got in on this one right before my trip. This is a Sudden Death on Ancient Greece Records. I see that yellow wax, Noble wax. Basically, the story on this was just they were looking for a band that sounded like Black Sabbath, and these guys fit the bill. The album was recorded in '72 and didn't get released until the '90s, and even the '90s press, which is the first pressing technically, is a few $100. So it was nice to pick this up. Sounds great, and always happy to support a friend. This one is one that I actually found in my local LCS, and again, this is because of YouTube I picked this up. Trying to branch out in my musical tastes, and just trying to learn about different things, and this one came up, and the first thing that caught my attention was the album cover. So I was like, okay, this is definitely weird, so I'm going to give this a listen. It's either going to be really good or it's going to be crap. And surprisingly ended up being good. I'm trying to block this out here because of YouTube purposes. This is Death Grips, The Money Store. It's technically kind of hip hop, mixed with electronic. It's not for everybody, but I liked it, and found this at my local LCS Triple Play, about an hour from me in Grand Junction, and was happy to add this to the collection. The next one is actually a twofer. So remember what I said that I couldn't participate in Record Store Day, and so I had to go the online route. Well, I found one copy of this through eBay for about $5 over cost, and then the next day, Mike at the In Groove actually did what he typically does for those that can't make it into the store. The remaining inventory will go on sale at 8 o'clock the next day. Well, I happened to be up, and I was looking for something else, but they had another copy of this just to hedge my bets. I grabbed it, and I think that was probably the last one because it sold out pretty much instantly. which is pretty typical of a lot of the big name releases for RSD. But so both of these arrived within a few days of each other. One I opened and listened to, it sounds great. The other one I'm going to keep sealed. This is Cranberries, Wake Up and Smell the Coffee. First time they released this on vinyl. Clear transparent vinyl. It's a great album. It's really surprising this is the first time they put it out on vinyl. It really is, because it's an amazing album. I've always been a fan of the Cranberries since I discovered them in the mid '90s. It's a shame we lost Dolores a few years back. It's one of those bands that I truly regret not being able to see. I had an opportunity, but due to circumstances beyond my control, the show got canceled. They were actually going to perform in Denver, and due to some unforeseen issue, I think the whole tour got canceled. So that was my last opportunity. But I can at least listen to the music and enjoy, her contributions through her music. So, but I'm happy to have 2 copies of this. One, like I said, one I'm going to keep sealed, and the other one I'm just going to listen to and enjoy. I did notice one thing, and it may just be that one copy. There was a little bit of hiss on the high end when I played this back. And it could just be that, colored wax sometimes is weird. I don't know, maybe it was just a one-off that was acting weird. If you guys own this one and you haven't heard the same thing, please chime in below. I'm very curious. But again, amazing release, and I was so happy to snag not 1 but 2 copies of this. The next one is actually one that I learned about while I was in Charlotte. If you follow Dylan at Noble Records, he actually scored an amazing collection from down in Florida. Jazz, funk, soul, just some amazing stuff. And Dylan knew I was coming into town, and so he, we tease each other sometimes. I brought a few things for him for my collection to, show him, and he brought in a whole bunch of stuff. And one of the things that he was playing was this album. And I'm like, I gotta have it, within the first 2 tracks I knew I had to have it. It's not an easy one to find, not super expensive, but not an easy one to find. And then, this is what I love about where I live. Every area of the States has, things that are they're good for. If you live in the South, it tends to be more country, or, say if you live closer to the, DC or New York or even California, you get a lot of jazz. Here, it's a melting pot. We tend to get a lot of rock, psych. Denver was a big hub for that in the 60s. So you see a lot of rare stuff come through this state. But to get soul and R&B stuff, especially the kind of weird, stuff that's not really necessarily that well known, is a little on the uncommon side. But my local store, Triple Play, does their flip videos, and I saw this, and I called them, and I was able to secure it, got back into town, paid for it, and went to pick it up last Saturday. This is Party Down, Little Beaver, original press, apart from a little bit of jacket wear here and there. This sucker is clean, it plays beautifully. If you can find this album, guys, I believe it's been reissued, definitely add this to your collection. It is pure joy to listen to. And I was so happy to pick this up. Sorry about that, guys, a little minor interruption. The next one is actually another one I discovered through Triple Play when I was digging. This is Deadmau5 and Black Thought Cheat Codes. Amazing album. One that I was not aware of, and I'm very much shocked that I did not know about this album, because I tend to stick with the older stuff, but like I said, I'm branching out, and I was able, it just caught my attention, and got it home, played it, sounds amazing, and You know, it's a little limited edition one on red wax. It also comes with a CD copy of the album. Yeah, this one's still in print, so I would definitely recommend picking this up. It sounds absolutely amazing. There's a little bit of soul samples and stuff like that in there. It just, again, regardless of what I said about new hip hop, occasionally you still find a gem mixed in with all the crap, and this happens to be one of those gems. So, again, if you can find it, pick it up. This next one you've seen on my channel before, but like an idiot, I let it go, and it's been killing me ever since to get another one. And one turned up at the right price, not as clean as my first copy, but it makes up for it in other ways. This is Richard Davis and Elvin Jones Heavy Sounds on Impulse. It's an original pressing. The red and black label that came after the orange and black. Again, sounds amazing. Side A plays flawlessly. Side B's got a little scratch you can feel with your finger. Sometimes that is, sometimes that'll pass, sometimes it won't. And I was really worried that it was going to, tick or perhaps skip. But the seller said that it had some marks on it, but they didn't affect the play. I mean, everybody's table's a little different, but my Thorns is a little bit of one of those more sensitive tables, and all I got was a teeny little bit of noise, no ticking or anything like that. So I was really happy with this. And the cool thing about this, and I get to share this with you for the first time, is this album is actually still sealed in cellophane. And I'm going to open this with you guys, because one thing about Impulse is these jackets is that you hear there's a little crack that you hear, and you only get to hear it once. So let's open this up together. Let's let the sucker breathe and have it be the way it's supposed to be. And again, guys, you only get to do this once. Listen to that crunch. Again, beautiful copy, and I'm super happy to have this. It's one, like I said, I was really regretting letting go of, and I'm happy that I have it in my collection again. Raunchy Rita is an absolutely amazing track, and I had to have it. Sorry guys, it's the magic of YouTube and doing this live, and I'm not going to edit this. The final one is another RSD one, and this is one that I was actually surprised that I was able to pick up, and this one came in by way of the Groove in Phoenix, Arizona. This was the one that a lot of people were after this year, and unlike last year where it was very, very limited for this particular artist, they did like 80,000 of them, and they still sold out, and they still had people camping out overnight for this particular release. But it just goes to show you, don't pay a gouge price and just take your chance, and you never know what you're gonna end up with. But this is Taylor Swift, Folklore, the Long Pond studio sessions on gray vinyl. I have not listened to this yet. I basically just popped the cellophane on the edge to pull the vinyl out and clean it. This album was basically the sessions for the album Folklore that occurred during COVID. I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan, I'll say that openly, but I appreciate a good album when I hear it, and Folklore is a really good album. So I was like, you know what, if I can pick this up, I'll grab it. And a day before this, Mike did his sale. These were fetching still over $100, and it's silly because like I said, there's 80,000 of these. So for me, it was like there's no way I would ever pay that, and so I was able to get this for a sticker price, and I'm again happy to have it. And it's got its place in my collection. Like I said, it's just I tend to like different stuff, but how do I put this? Like I said, I appreciate a good album when I hear it, and this is a good companion to Folklore and the actual, excuse me, released album. And again, happy to have this in the collection. Um, I was hoping that I'd have one more to show you guys, but that one is on its way, and I'll do an unboxing for that in the next video. But I hope you like what you guys saw. If you do, please click like and subscribe. It's been a pleasure sharing this collection update with you guys, and until next time, we'll talk again soon. You guys take it easy and have a great Saturday.